Week 1 of September, we're already on track to spend about $6,000 in ads in month 2. It is Wednesday. Things are popping off. 2 sales yesterday, and then we got 2 sales today. So we're at 4 for the week. Everything in life is hard, uncomfortable, scary until you do it and you take the leap and do it for the first time. So
it's up to her to either decide to retire and start drawing Social Security or go get another job.
All right, week 1 of September 2025 already started off to a pretty good start. So today is September 2nd. It's Tuesday. Yesterday was Labor Day, and Andrew got a MA sale yesterday and another one today. So starting off decent. Had a good morning meeting this morning to kind of reset culture after I was out for like 2 weeks and Andrew was out for a full week, which is really good. We started doing projections this morning, which is where our team, they're going to project how many sales they're going to get each week. And I can go through and kind of teach that process, walk you guys through like what we set and kind of how I use that in order to manage the sales team. But that's been a super big leverage point for us in our other sales team. So we're definitely going to use that here for this agency. But off to a good start. Dove season just opened up yesterday. So out hunting with my dad while the agency's running. And that's the kind of business that I want to build. So this should be a good week. Our goal is to definitely beat August. We spent $3,000 in ads and did $17,000 in first year commission. Extremely happy with that for our first month. We're already on track to spend about $6,000 in ads in month 2. And that's the thing, guys, like once you spend money and you see what kind of return you have on it, especially if it's in first year commission and you're getting that advanced, you can just spend more the next month and just start scaling when you have a repeatable process from marketing to a script that everybody follows the exact same thing. So it's just repeatable, it's linear, it's easy to scale, and we're going to try and prove that this month. So we'll probably even raise that halfway through the month to spend more on that. So perfect world, we double the ad spend, we double the revenue, but we'll see if that actually happens. But even if it doesn't, we spend more money, we make more money, it's still moving in the right direction. So should be a really good month to see month 2. See if any of our sales guys fall into any ruts, because that can happen, and kind of talk through how to get them out of that if it does happen. What's up, everybody? It is Wednesday and things are popping off. 2 sales as of yesterday, and then we got 2 sales today. So we're at 4 for the week. On Wednesday, we got 2 more days and looking like it's going to be our best week yet so far, which is great. A lot of the core Medicare policies that go along with the ancillary that we put in place in the first month are starting to come through. So that pipeline is already being built 4 weeks into the business. And once that's fully stacked up, it's going to start getting real fun. But just got done with a business event at my church. We started this business arm of my church called The Forge earlier this year. This is the second event we've done. Just helping local business owners, Christian business owners, but they don't have to be Christian business owners right now, but just to be able to equip them with how to grow their business in order to grow the kingdom, which has been a pretty cool thing. But again, I can't stress it enough. The coolest part is that 2 sales came into the industry agency as I'm there doing this event and helping, other businesses grow their business. So one thing that I'm looking forward to, we're going to leave on our first RV trip to Nashville for a month in about 10 days. So that'll be cool to be running the agency as we're living out of the RV. So right now I'm heading back out to my in-laws' land where the RV is, because I'm going to practice actually driving it on a road tonight, which I'm super nervous about, because with everything, as I've already mentioned, everything that you do for the first time, you're probably not going to be good at it until you do it. So you just got to start somewhere and start practicing. And so I've got my buddy who's driven semis coming out, and he's going to sit in the passenger seat and probably tell me everything that I'm doing wrong. But yeah, really good start to the month. We just put together a hiring process in order to start attracting another 1 or 2 agents to bring on as LOAs or employees in the business. So when we get that live, probably next week, I can walk you through what that looks like and how we kind of built out these automations to take a lot of the manual work off of our team, because the key to getting good employees, top talent, is volume. You need to have a ton of applicants, but if we had to interview all 100 applicants, it would take us forever. So we put some technology and automations in place to be able to make that a more seamless process, since we're not big enough to have like a full-time HR person, and even if we were, we would still use technology to be able to streamline that process. So I can walk you through that probably next week once we get that live. All right, so my buddy came out and he kind of showed me how to drive it, and then I took over, and driving it honestly is not that bad. Just focus on going slow and taking wide turns, and I got used to that pretty quickly. But then he backed it in because I didn't want to be there all night. So yeah, honestly, it was something I was nervous about, I was a little afraid to do, and then just just did it, and it ended up being fine, which I think is a great lesson for business, advertising your business for the first time, running ads, putting yourself out there. Everything in life is hard, uncomfortable, scary until you do it and you take the leap and do it for the first time. So that went a lot better than I expected it to.
What's up, everybody? This is Saturday. Came out to the in-laws and we're staying here in the RV, which has been pretty fun. It's beautiful weather, 70s during the day, 60 at night, and it's just been a great time. Just trying to like kind of break it in, get used to everything before we go on our very first trip to Nashville, which we leave for in about 10 days. I think we ended this week, I want to say with 6 sales, but some of those were follow-ups. I don't count those as sales for my agents. You know, I want them to always be focused on bringing new people into the business. But as far as new sales, I think we had one med sup, but it was somebody that was over 65 already. So we'll have to see if that goes through underwriting. All in all, I would say it was a good week because we're starting to stack up the pipeline, and 6 sales in a week is pretty solid. But I want to be at the point where we're seeing 5 or 6 new sales coming in, and then we still would have had those 4 from the pipeline. I'm gonna have to like really look into the numbers and see what exactly is going on. Are we potentially just getting a different quality of person? Is the process changing? I did notice that on our sales meeting this past week, there were a couple calls that were a little bit weird circumstances. We either had to get them to apply for Medicaid, or someone for the first time, right? Like this is many leads in and many appointments in, but someone for the first time told one of our agents that like he doesn't want the umbrella coverage because if he just gets diagnosed with one of the big 3, then he just doesn't really give a crap and he'll probably just die within like 20 days. Those types of attitudes are hard to overcome on objections, and even if we were, there's a high risk of that becoming a chargeback. We're still at like a 70% close rate, and so when you come across those types of people, you know, I'm teaching them, hey, kind of take this at least through one objection handle, see if we can confirm if that's what they even want. If they don't want it, there's not really a point to try and force it. At that point, what it most likely is something upstream in the sales process that didn't create enough value between then and now. You know, this is why you're not at 100% close rate. Like these types of interactions are going to come, and the main thing that we want to do here is maintain rapport so that we can still get the core Medicare policy when we get a little bit closer to the 65th birthday. So the biggest thing is that like what I was noticing is that when we had these unique situations, one of our agents specifically just wasn't following the process, and that's completely normal. Like he hasn't sold ever before, and so I just had to realign him with like, hey, so the circumstances are going to be different. Like you're going to have somebody that just decided to not have health insurance for whatever reason. Those are going to be super easy because they have a need, they're turning 65, they have a need, and they have a time-based external motivation to get something done. You're going to have people that are on employer coverage. You're going to have people that may need some additional assistance. You're going to have people that are on the marketplace. No matter what you're coming across, we have to follow the exact same process. You can't let that throw you off. So we need to still go summary of benefits, embed the umbrella coverage in there so that we can kind of build that value as we're going, show where it complements the policy, and then just drop the price of the Med Advantage or the Med Sup with the umbrella all as one. A lot of separating was happening. They were kind of separating, hey, this is what the advantage is going to be, then we can add the umbrella. And just what that does is it creates unneeded friction in the positioning of the products. So it was good. I think that like it showed me what I knew was going to happen, is that when we don't have consistent daily sales meetings, it's easy to fall into habits that don't serve you as well as they possibly could. So if nothing else, having those daily sales meetings, even if they get repetitive for the team, it just keeps them in the same mindset doing the same thing, because the best closers just do the exact same thing every single time. The best sales reps do the exact same thing every single time. They don't get thrown off a process by something that is going to be different. They just still follow their process, and then they handle the different part kind of at the end. Let's try and get a close, and then we'll handle the different part of if they need Medicaid or something like that, then let's kind of get it locked down, get them comfortable, get them familiar with what we're recommending, see if that fits with what they were looking for, get that commitment on that, and then we can handle how are we going to get them coverage best between now and when they turn 65. Is there anything that we need to add? Is there anything that ACA or anything like that we can do? But don't try and confuse it all and focus on the short-term stuff before the main thing that we're focusing on, which is the Medicare. So this video has been not super long, so I think I'm going to combine this with the next week as well too. new. This coming week, we've got my entire team from Insurance Advertising Masters coming into town. Some people are going to get in on Wednesday. Some people are going to get in on Thursday. We have our all-day quarterly exec meeting on Friday, and then I'm taking them to a Husker game next Saturday. A lot of two of my partners and me in the insurance agency are also partners in Insurance Advertising Masters. So we're going to be pretty busy and we're going to be out. So we'll kind of see how Andrew and our agent handle things while we're out again. Really, it's a good opportunity for Andrew to keep stepping into sales manager role, which is definitely where things are heading for him. I just want to give him ample time to just get really familiar with everything in the sales process before we start expecting those responsibilities from him. But it's been really cool to see him kind of step in Discord, answering questions, helping things, even when I'm available, if he can get to it quicker than I can, but especially when I'm out and kind of busy doing other things. I also want to still show you guys kind of like what we're doing to bring people in. So we'll also kind of fit that in here with some of this video as well too.
Yeah, I mean, like, this is going to start being fun once we are getting like 5 to 10 new sales a week, and you guys start getting the core Medicare policies coming in on the back end too. So between like follow-ups and new, hitting like 15 to 20, I think is absolutely possible. So we'll just keep building that pipeline. It just helps in discovery if you can kind of get a sense of, are they okay risking the fact that they have no insurance between now and January? Because if they are fine with it, then fine, we'll just let them risk it. That's what they were doing before talking to us anyway. But if they're not, if they're like, yeah, I'm just not on it because Cobra was too expensive and I just didn't know what to do, then we need to go through a normal process, lock it in, and then offer at the very, very end of the call, say, hey, do you want me to look into a marketplace option for you between now and January? But biggest thing just to remember again, like with discovery, is like the better and more information we can get, the easier it's going to be to make that recommendation and close. If we miss things and we have to ask questions through text or whatever, then it just drops their certainty in you and your decision as well too. What up, everybody? Just got a little haircut. It's getting kind of long. Today is Tuesday. One thing that is happening with our sales reps that happens with pretty much every single sales rep I've ever trained in our other business. I imagine that this just happens across the board when it comes to sales reps, especially ones that are new to sales or definitely new to an offer, new to selling something that's new to them. In the first month, if you have a solid ramp up process, a solid script, a solid everything, they'll usually do pretty well, and that'll indicate that they'll have success long term. And then what happens is they get a little bit comfortable with what they're selling. They know how to answer questions a little bit themselves. They start to understand the product a little bit. They start to understand how it solves the problem. But they're not copywriters. They're not sales script writers. So they start to do two things. One, they start to explain things themselves without referring back to either me, who wrote the script, or the marketing copywriting, or they just don't stick to the script sometimes when they're answering questions. And when you're not saying things based on psychology and in the best way knowing how to get something to convert into a sale, you're just going to have misses. And then the second thing that happens is once people start to understand the products a little bit, they want to show their knowledge, and they either start over talking, oversharing to try and show that they're an authority, which is a big mistake. Oftentimes, like if you're over talking in a sales call, you're going to lose the sale because you just create confusion and you create problems that weren't going to be there. And so one of the things I'm having to work on, and I'm glad that it's showing and rearing its head in month 2, because once I can get a sales rep through this rut, the rut of overconfidence and also overthinking, they usually perform for a long time and can self-correct after that. So one of the things that we're going through is realigning ourselves to the fundamentals, the discovery calls. What questions do we need to be asking? Don't ask more than you need to ask. Don't over talk or over explain more than you need to. Basically just a whole bunch of, hey, right here in the call, shut up. Right here in the call, shut up. Like that's what the sales meetings are like, and correcting. The good news is that, even if we double our spend and do the same amount of front end revenue, we're still at like a 3x return on ad spend, which is still highly profitable. So I'm fine to accept that cost of my reps learning so that they can get better in the future. And that's the importance of having a really good marketing plan or funnel or campaign that has margin for you to get through ruts with yourself or with your sales team if you have a sales team. I think we're 1 unit behind pacing what we did in our first month. Yet, like I said, the ad spend's a little bit higher. So my guess is unless we correct this relatively quickly, we'll probably end up spending somewhere around around 5 or 6,000 in ads this month for around 15 to 17 in new revenue. But the thing that might make up for it is we're starting to get a lot more core Medicare policies coming in of people that we sold ancillary to in our first month in August. So that might make a difference as well too, which is the beauty of this business, is that you have, and if you sell things right and you present umbrella and ancillary packages along with it, you lock those in right away, you have good cash flow, and then you have the core Medicare policies that help with cash flow, and then those have really strong renewals. You know, if you were to ask me, like, should I go sell final expense or mortgage protection or fully underwritten whole life or annuities, like, this is the best opportunity to sell Medicare with the umbrella and ancillary, and then if you can do any other products from that on the back end. But we're getting first year commissions of anywhere from $1,200 all the way up to $2,000, and then we have $300 per client minimum in renewals for at least 6 years behind this, if not even longer. I don't see any other better business model, and it's proving it right now as we're going through it. My team's coming in for our quarterly. They get in Thursday. Friday we have our quarterly meeting, and Saturday we're going to the Husker game. So my guys will be on their own on Thursday, Friday. We'll be able to answer their questions in Discord and things like that. Hopefully they bring in a couple new sales. I'm not counting follow-ups with core Medicare policies of ancillaries that they've gotten in their projections or anything like that. We project new sales, we bring in new sales, we keep that pace, and then the follow-ups with the core Medicare policies are just, you know, great. It's not gravy on top because they need to happen. Like, we need to do that. But I'm not having them track those right now because we just don't hire people that would let that slip. So I don't need to be focusing on that. I need them to continue focusing on bringing in new people, keep filling the pipeline, keep making that front end money. And then tomorrow, Wednesday, is going to be our last sales meeting because I'm going to be out Thursday, Friday. So we're going to do a call review. Today we did a role play. I had each of them do a full discovery call with each other because that's where I was kind of figuring out like what was causing these issues. And then one other thing that we just implemented is end of day reports, which I've done for years in my other business. If you have an LOA, if you have any sales agents and they aren't doing end of day reports, there's no way that you can hone in on where you need to help them. You're just flying blind. I basically have been feeling like I've been flying blind for the last month, and I kind of knew why. And when I got this implemented, it changed things immediately. And so now I know exactly what to focus on the sales meeting. So tomorrow we're going to be doing a call review of a closing call that Joe had on Monday. So I'll probably set up the recording, let you guys hear some of that and how I kind of address and correct any of these things that are coming up.
Hey, sorry about that. My other call ran 2 minutes late.
That's all right. That's all right.
How are you? How was your weekend?
It was good. Quiet, but it was good.
Good.
Yes.
Weather good?
Let's see. Saturday it was pretty rich.
Yeah, I heard Texas got hit pretty hard.
Yeah, we kind of did.
Yeah.
I didn't we cheated.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like that doesn't really happen too much down there.
It doesn't. Not at all.
So for this specific plan, like I said, it may change a little bit depending on the year and everything, so next year it might change a little. But as far as Part B premium goes, with this plan, it'll give you $174.70 back on your Part B, and then you're going to have no deductible, so the benefits will start to hit immediately compared to with original Medicare, where on an employer plan, you always usually have a deductible, so you have to obviously meet.
So with somebody this far out, that right there is where I'm going to be seeding that, like, we're going through this plan right now, but your birthday's in 2026, so it may be this exact plan, and if so, then I'll just go through with you any of the benefits inside of it that changed. Otherwise, you know, it may be a different plan, but ultimately I just wanted to go through this so you kind of understood how Medicare Advantage plans work in general. Since you're not turning 65 until February, what I always like to do is schedule a second appointment, just an appointment about 2 weeks out from when you turn 65. That way, if anything changes from the plan side, or if anything changes on your side, maybe you get on a different medication or whatever, we just want to make sure that everything is covered in case anything changes. But what we're going through today is going to be this plan. This is just a good understanding of how these Medicare Advantage plans work.
Or as like outpatient coverage, like where it says observation stays and then outpatient surgery and procedures. So if you were to go to, you know, an outpatient hospital or ambulatory surgical center, those are going to be higher copays, which will be covered with your umbrella coverage.
So I would change your language from saying that this will be covered with your umbrella coverage to that's where the umbrella is going to step in and help with that.
Okay.
It's close, but I just don't like super definitive statements around the umbrella coverage because it's a reimbursement type thing. So they get charged, they submit it, they get reimbursed.
Yeah, it's benefits, not coverage. Coverage means covered. So don't use, unless you're talking about Medicare, don't use covered ever.
Yeah.
So this plan with the Part B give back, like we talked about on the first call, usually a ballpark if that 185 is getting pulled out, which in most cases it does. We were able to find you a good Part B give back. With the umbrella coverage, ballpark number we give is usually around 360 with the 185 getting pulled out and then the 180 on top of that. Since I was able to find you such a great Part B kid.
Too many numbers there. Just kind of hearing you say that, like, unless somebody's listening super intently, super closely, yeah, it just kind of sounds like a lot of numbers there. Let me kind of hear how you wrap this up.
Back with all that protection, your total cost came out to $223.73 per month.
Okay.
Hey, we are having a pretty good week from a sales perspective. We've got 4 new to the business sales and 2 follow-up sales that go along with it. Core Medicare policies and things like that. Today's Thursday, September 11th. The team comes into town. Yesterday, Charlie Kirk, the news about him, he was shot. Taking it pretty hard. I really liked Charlie. Looked up to him as a role model. He and I are pretty much the same age. He's married, I'm married, Christian father, has 2 young kids. I've got 3 young kids. Started his business when he was young. He started his like 12 years ago. I started mine like 9 years ago. From what I know, he's always been a Christian. I became a Christian. I grew up Catholic, but stopped believing for a long time. And I became a Christian in 2019. And yeah, just this world is crazy. It just really bothers me because I feel like I was pretty familiar with the things that he would talk about. I would constantly get served his videos on all of my platforms. His entire platform was built on talking, like left versus right, talk it out, just being respectful. It wasn't, I've seen so many people say that he spewed hate. Like, he was not spewing hate. He had opinions, he had things that he would debate on. A lot of the videos out there were questions that were asked of him that he was debating on, that he took an opposing stance to. And it's crazy that would lead to what happened. And it's crazy the outcome that has been created in social media. And yeah, I've never once felt this way from a public figure's death. But yeah, it's affecting me, and I think it's because I saw so much of myself in him and just really looked up to him as a great example of a Christian business owner, somebody that literally, you know, I think a ton of his activism had to do with politics, but he never shied away from talking about his faith. I feel like he potentially even talked about his faith even more. And that's been one thing that I admired about him that's been hard for me, is figuring out how to have constantly invite God into everything that I do. And so that's something that I'm going to be thinking about, is how can I take moments of just only talking about business and talk about my faith more, because I'm not going to shy away from being a Christian. If anything, that this is going to, encourage me to share more. And yeah, it's just a incredibly sad time and thing going on. So team's getting in today. We'll finish out the week and get the things we need to do done. Just keep moving, get done what we need to get done. But yeah, it's definitely weighing on me. All right, Andrew just got another sale. So that puts us at 5 new to the business sales, 2 follow-up sales, and we're at 16 apps so far for the week. Pretty happy with that. It's great seeing the kind of like follow-ups. And when I say follow-up sales, it means that like we got an ancillary in place either earlier this month or last month. And now we went and put the Medicare Advantage or Medicare Supplement in place. So I don't count it as sales towards their projections, because like I said, they should just be getting those. So I'm just calling those follow-up sales. I'm trying to trend and mark and like what my growth goal is what is our new to Trinity, bringing them into our business. How many of those new to our business sales we're getting a week? I think the best we've had so far since starting is 5. It's Thursday morning and we're at 5 right now. So we could easily hit 6, potentially even 7 or 8, which would be fire. It's Sunday morning. We are headed to church. A lot of heavy stuff going on this week. So definitely making sure we get into church. My team is mostly gone. Josh is coming with me. Last couple days were a little bit disappointing. I was really hoping to have another sale come through so we could have our best week. And realistically, I would have hoped to have another 3 come in so we could have hit 8, because of how much opportunity was on the calendar. That absolutely should have happened, but it didn't. We'll get in there on morning meetings and figure out what is going on. And I don't mean like what's going on as if there's like some big problem, but I do want to be able to keep growing and and pass that number. And the only way to do that is just going to be more volume potentially, but I think that they have more than enough volume to be hitting 3 new people to the business or per week each. I think realistically, like, they could both be doing 5, 6 plus, you know, even potentially even getting to 10 at some point. So I don't think we've capped our volume on, you know, what these guys can do at all, but I'll figure it out and dive into the numbers and get on the meetings next week and kind of figure out exactly what's going on.